Bill Maher takes on woke culture, questioning its impact on free speech and society's future.
And finally, new rule, please don't make the Olympics into the Oscars. Oh, what's that? They did already? Yeah.
You can be woke with all the nonsense that now implies, but don't say that somehow it's an extension of liberalism.
Right.
Because it's most often actually an undoing of liberalism.
Bill Maher has never been one to shy away from controversy, but when it comes to woke culture, his latest remarks have sparked a fiery debate. In a world where political correctness is more important than ever, Maher boldly challenges the very foundation of this new cultural movement. Is he right to question the boundaries of wokeness, or is he simply out of touch with the times? Stick around as we dive into Maher's thoughts on the woke revolution and whether it's time to rethink where we're heading. If you're tired of the oversensitivity of woke culture and want more of Bill Maher's fearless commentary, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation real.
You know, back in April, when the Oscars aired, I commented in this space that the theme of that evening was, "We dare you to be entertained." Lest your mind waver for a few hours from thinking about the sad things and bad people in the world. Well, thank God we found some of those bad people in the Olympics now, and not a moment too soon. The director of... No, that was sarcasm.
Bill Maher isn't a man known for playing nice with popular trends. As one of America's sharpest political commentators, Maher has built a career on dissecting culture, politics, and social movements with a razor-sharp edge. However, in recent years, he has become particularly vocal about one topic: woke culture.
I have always believed, as liberals do, for example, in a colorblind society, that the goal is to not see race at all anywhere for any reason.
Yes.
That's what liberals always believed all the way through. Obama, going back, Kennedy, everybody, Martin Luther King. That's not what the woke believe. They believe race is first and foremost the thing you should always see everywhere, which I find interesting because that used to be the position of the Ku Klux Klan, that we see race first and foremost everywhere.
Yeah.
So, again, you can have that position, but don't say that's a liberal position. You're doing something.
Now, let me tell you about the current state of American society. Maher begins, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You know, the kind of place where if you mispronounce someone's name, you can be canceled. The kind of society that, apparently, thinks it can right centuries of oppression by controlling speech and policing thoughts. He pauses for dramatic effect. The audience chuckles, and the atmosphere is electric. Maher's commentary on woke culture isn't just a critique, it's a full-fledged assault on what he views as an overreach of political correctness that's stifling free expression.
Where did we get this crowd? I'm back, not the audience. I'm back. They're still. And that is not a conservative position, my friends. My politics have not changed, but I am reacting to politics that have. And this is yet another example of how the woke invert the very thing that used to make liberals liberals. Snitches and bitches, that's not being liberal. The Associated Press is a real news organization, yeah?
Maher's criticism of woke culture can be broken down into several key areas: language, cancel culture, and the absurdity of some social justice movements. But to really understand where he's coming from, we need to go back in time. Bill Maher's opinions on woke culture didn't just appear out of nowhere. They are rooted in his history as a social critic and his deeply ingrained belief in the importance of free speech. The evolution of woke culture is something Maher often addresses in his monologues. He begins by acknowledging the legitimate origins of the movement. "I get it," Maher says, leaning forward. Woke culture came about because people wanted to address real inequalities in society, issues like racism, sexism, and classism.
So why am I reading this headline? Olympic surfing exposes whitewashed native Hawaiian roots. Yeah, the Olympics added surfing this year. Good. Surfers deserve to be recognized as athletes. I'm sorry. What I meant to say is, no, that's cultural appropriation. The AP says that for Hawaiians, probably all two of them, including surfing in the Olympics, is an extension of the racial indignity seared into the history of the game and their homeland, when white outsiders took over their spiritual art form. Or just people having fun in the ocean.
The audience listens attentively. Maher isn't dismissing the very real need for social change, but he's making it clear that the current state of affairs is far from a solution. He goes on, drawing on examples of what he considers the excesses of wokeism. Now, we've got a situation where people are being shamed for saying the wrong thing, even if they don't mean any harm. We have entire college campuses dedicated to creating echo chambers where differing opinions are not just discouraged, they're banned. His tone is both mocking and earnest. We have people who think that misgendering someone is as bad as racism, and don't even get me started on the people who think that wearing a Halloween costume is equivalent to cultural appropriation. I mean, what's next? Are we going to stop dressing up as pirates because they were historically colonial oppressors?
So their neighborhood stayed safe. So that wasn't exactly, I thought, a victory for liberalism. Murders have been happening way out of control in Chicago among the African American community for far too long, and not really reported in the way that they should be. It's amazing how black lives don't seem to matter when they're taken by black lives.
Right.
But I mean, now Chicago, my friends who live there say it's not safe anywhere.
Yeah, it's very sketchy. Very sketchy.
And that's Chicago.
The audience erupts in laughter. Maher isn't just pointing out the ridiculousness of some aspects of woke culture, he's using humor to show how this movement has grown into something that threatens to undermine genuine conversations about social justice. But Maher isn't just attacking woke culture for its excesses. He's also concerned about the way it restricts discourse and promotes a culture of fear. We've created a society where everyone is terrified of saying the wrong thing, of making the wrong joke, of offending the wrong person. We have people walking on eggshells, afraid to speak their minds because they're worried about being canceled. The word cancel hangs in the air like a sword ready to drop. Maher's critique of cancel culture is sharp, and his disdain for it is palpable. He makes it clear that the concept of canceling someone isn't a tool for accountability, it's a weapon for mob mentality. When did we become so thin-skinned that we need to erase people from existence because they said something we don't like? Whatever happened to the idea of discussing things, having a debate, and understanding different perspectives? The audience claps, but Maher isn't done yet. He takes a step back, changing his tone to something more serious, more thoughtful. Look, I understand the desire to make the world a better place, to make sure everyone is treated fairly. But what good is social justice if we can't even talk about it? What happens when we make everyone afraid to speak, when we turn every conversation into a minefield of political correctness? The question hangs in the air, and Maher's words begin to resonate. He's not just mocking woke culture, he's pleading for a return to intellectual honesty. His biggest concern isn't the movement itself, but what it's doing to the very thing that makes society dynamic: open discourse. Maher's thoughts on wokeism are deeply intertwined with his commitment to free speech. As a stand-up comedian and talk show host, he has long prided himself on his ability to say whatever he wants, regardless of how controversial. His criticism of woke culture, in many ways, is a defense of that freedom. There's a reason why I've always been a huge advocate for free speech, Maher continues, because when you silence people, you rob them of the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to challenge their own ideas. And that's the problem with the woke movement today. It's so obsessed with making sure everyone is correct that it leaves no room for self-reflection or progress. He takes a moment, glancing at the audience with a raised eyebrow. I mean, who's the real villain here? The person who said something that might be offensive, or the people who think that banning them from the conversation will somehow make society better? If you enjoyed this little rant of mine, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone who's brave enough to think for themselves. We need more voices in the conversation. Trust me, it's worth it.